Hello, I'm Kim Snyder, the Director of Teacher and Principal Support at the Nebraska Department of Education. Thank you for joining my esteemed colleagues and me as we discuss one of the newly revised Nebraska Teacher and Principal Performance Standards. I'll have my colleagues introduce themselves now.
Hi, I'm Ellie Fields, and I'm a former student from Harvard Public Schools.
Hi, I'm Michelle Helt, a third grade teacher in South Sioux City and the 2018 Nebraska Teacher of the Year.
Hi, I'm Charity Labrie, a principal with Grand Island Public Schools.
Hi, everybody. I'm Julie Downing. I'm a staff developer with ESU 13 in the Panhandle.
Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Tian. I work in the College of Education here at the University of Nebraska at Kearney.
Thank you, everyone. These teacher and principal performance standards are the foundation of a larger educator effectiveness system that focuses on a shift in how Nebraska supports and develops teachers and principals to ensure that each student has what they need at the right moment, at the right level, and with the right intensity. The standard we're going to talk about right now is a teacher standard called Instructional Strategies. And Mrs. Helt, since you're the teacher, we might have you go ahead and start with your conversation while I share my screen.
When I think of instructional strategies, I immediately think of the plethora of strategies available to teachers. An effective educator chooses the right strategy for the right student at the right time.
Although the Instructional Strategies standard is probably the most difficult for me to understand, I think knowing and understanding how we learn will help keep us engaged and focused on our learning.
Student growth and achievement is born out of matching strategies with the content. The beauty of education is knowing your students and determining how to best convey the content.
Schools will never be better than their teachers, and what happens behind the scenes and within the walls of the classroom is so important. Effective instruction is critical for student learning. A major component of this instructional strategy standard is the utilization of proven methodology based on district strategies. Let us see if our assumptions align with the standard.
The standard says the teacher implements evidence-based district-supported instructional strategies to ensure student growth and achievement.
Indicator A says an effective teacher implements a range of evidence-based district-supported strategies to ensure each student achieves district and state standards, learning goals, and instructional objectives.
This indicator really ties into what I was saying previously. As teachers work to support students in reaching identified learning objectives at local and state levels, they must find a balance that allows them to include their personality and style within identified evidence-based strategies supported by the district. This balance leads to increased student engagement with the curriculum identified by the district.
When teachers have clear standards-based learning targets and tasks that align to the rigor of the standard, students are able to take ownership in their learning. A clear understanding of the content and how students will reach success provides a platform in which students can clearly see the path to standard mastery. Teachers must develop clear paths around how they will use high-quality materials and best practice strategies to ensure they are providing a sequenced path for students to achieve at a high level.
In my classroom, I often tell my students anything worth doing is worth doing well. If we are going to spend time teaching a skill to our students, it is important the instructional strategies selected be purposeful, intentional, and informed by the ongoing collection of formative data. We cannot afford to waste time on an ineffective instructional strategy, and we must use students' performance or formative data to guide our instruction. We need to focus on helping all students meet or exceed the Nebraska standards. Time spent teaching content or skills students have mastered is a waste of precious time. On the other hand, moving ahead with content when prerequisite skills have not been mastered is also a waste of time. Determining the most powerful instructional strategies, along with the pacing of instruction through continuous reflection on formative data, will yield the greatest academic gains for our students.
Nebraska schools have the autonomy about the strategies they use to equitably serve their students. ESUs work at the district and school level to support data-driven goals and instruction rooted in evidence and research.
Indicator B states, uses a variety of evidence-based, district-supported resources and multimodal instructional tools to engage students in rigorous learning experiences.
Rigorous learning experiences are essential to engaging students and enabling them to access Nebraska standards. Lacey Robinson of Unbound Ed refers to the unintentional removal of rigor due to inadequate planning and use of materials as panic pedagogy. Intentional planning through the use of high-quality instructional materials selected by each district and the use of a variety of instructional tools will ensure rigor is intact. Intentional planning allows teachers to structure a lesson in a way that challenges students' thinking and allows for problem solving. Educators who plan intentionally leave nothing to chance. Hoping students reach a conclusion involves too many variables. However, planning for students to reach a conclusion based on the questions asked, conversations that are planned, and activities that are completed will allow for all students to be successful, providing equity to every student within the walls of a Nebraska classroom.
This is where the art of teaching comes into play. Teachers are equipped with the knowledge of their students, best practice strategies, and a deep understanding of the standards, and are able to orchestrate learning for each student in their care. Intentionally selecting a variety of tools is key for students to demonstrate their proficiency. Maintaining expertise in the area of the various modes and tools for learning is vital to a student's success. Districts and teachers must work collaboratively to ensure that they have the expertise in the modes of learning that meet the strengths and needs of each student, and are actively addressing situations that don't support equity for all students in their care.
Indicator C states, identifies, implements, and evaluates evidence-based, district-supported instructional strategies that are responsive to each student's abilities, cultural norms, and personal, family, and community experiences.
What stands out to me in this indicator is the need for teachers to build strong relationships with each student, allowing for an awareness of students' abilities, culture, and family. This awareness translates to a stronger relationship and open conversations about student performance. Students who know teachers care about them as an individual will be more willing to discuss their academic needs because they feel valued and safe. An effective teacher knows a variety of strategies, but most importantly, they evaluate and adjust these strategies to best meet the individual needs of each student in their classroom, leading to the most efficient use of time and maximized learning.
It's also important that educators build relationships with families and create an inclusive environment where all are welcomed. When families are welcomed into the school environment, it impacts students' abilities to take risks in their learning, resulting in growth and achievement. Creating opportunities for community engagement positively impacts student learning and promotes unity around the school setting. When equitable student opportunities are valued and promoted, students, families, and communities understand all members have a voice in the school community. It empowers all stakeholders to value one another and interact in a productive way to better the school community.
Supporting teachers through professional development and coaching has an impact on student achievement. ESUs work in tandem with district and building leaders and individual educators to respond to their needs, provide training, analyze data, and implement curriculum through the lens of equity.
Indicator D states, reflects on classroom observations and assessment data and differentiates instruction by adjusting the pace of instruction, focus of instruction, and method of delivery to address each student's strengths and needs.
As teachers, we must look at data without personal emotions, openly reflecting on the effectiveness of the instructional strategies and how to best adjust instruction for each student. Indicator D makes me think of a quote, "Data is data, it does not have an agenda." Analyzing data is difficult, but looking at it does not define us as educators. Data gives us an opportunity to see into the minds of our students. If the data indicates students did not learn the content or skill, we must seek to understand why and not make excuses, but focus on how we can adjust our instruction to ensure student success. Data should not be a blame game. It is an opportunity to celebrate what we did well as teachers and students, but can also be used to guide future instruction.
Indicator D reminds me of the importance of the continuous improvement cycle. One high-level leverage strategy of school leadership is providing teachers with specific and actionable feedback as a result of consistent classroom observations. This feedback should result in teacher reflection and adjustment to their instructional practice. which always centers around improved student achievement. School-wide focus must be given to instructional strategies that benefit all students.
From an educator preparation perspective, I often see new teachers struggling to apply methodology learned in teacher preparation programs within the instructional culture in their new school. Each school is a little different due to the various components that make up its student and adult population. As a teacher, it is easy to become overwhelmed. The next phase in teacher development occurs at the building and district level as support in evidence-based strategies is put in place.
Indicator E says an effective teacher engages students in constructing new and meaningful learning through problem solving, critical and creative thinking, purposeful discourse, and inquiry aligned with locally determined curriculum and district-supported high-quality instructional materials.
Meaningful learning through problem solving, critical thinking, and purposeful discourse can be achieved by setting up routines and procedures within the classroom. Students need to learn how to discuss and disagree with their peers and adults within a safe environment. Empowering students with these skills will enhance their curiosity and allow student voice to be a part of the classroom environment, leading to increased student engagement and more powerful learning.
Another key piece is creating higher level tasks that allow students to reach the rigor of the standard. Higher level tasks are created as a result of intentional planning with laser-like focus on student learning, which leads to greater student growth and development around the content. Students will rise to the challenge of an aligned curriculum that provides higher level tasks.
As a staff developer, it is important that I model the same processes I expect teachers to use with students. Educators should see results and feel that their time is well spent through problem solving, critical and creative thinking, purposeful discourse, and collaboration.
Indicator F states, models cultural competence and responsiveness by implementing and sustaining evidence-based district-supported curriculum, instructional materials, and strategies that confront and eliminate institutional bias and student marginalization.
An effective teacher reflects on how intrinsic bias may unintentionally become a part of the classroom or school system. This is not easy. No one wants to look within themselves and realize their actions or words were unintentionally hurting or marginalizing a student or student group. However, it is a necessary part of growing and learning. As teachers, it is our duty to ensure every student within our classroom feels safe and valued. Awareness around cultural competency not only means knowing each and every student and valuing their unique situations, but also systematically analyzing data specific to marginalized student groups. These deliberate teacher actions provide insight about marginalized groups, but perhaps more importantly, allows for action to be taken to ensure student equity, not just in our classroom, but throughout an entire school system.
Educators must ensure that students are represented in their learning. Do students see themselves in their materials, in the content, and does it guide their belief about their future possibilities? All groups must be represented in learning. Effective teachers are able to adapt materials to connect to individual student experiences and cultures. The connections with students and between students must transcend materials.
Leadership and training to support educators in identifying and addressing bias so that culturally responsive teaching is visible in classrooms remains a priority for educational service units across the state of Nebraska.
After listening to this conversation, I realize how essential instructional strategies are when it comes to the learning environment. Not only is it important for teachers to be aware of how each student learns, but for them to choose the instructional strategies that best reach each student. In my school, we have a very diverse student population, and with many of the students coming from very different backgrounds. Amidst these backgrounds, though, my teachers were always aware and sensitive to where each student came from. With that knowledge, they made a conscious decision to make everyone feel included. To be honest, I never really understood the importance of strategies until I started listening to these conversations. But now I realize that strategies should be the baseline for the effectiveness and/or success of a student's classroom. After listening to these conversations, I also realized that students should be made aware of the data and be given ownership of their own data to help them make decisions about themselves as they learn. Once teachers and students access the data, it's important to not only accept the results, but also be able to adapt and make the necessary changes. Teachers not only need to know how to do this, but to enable their students to learn how to do this as well. An effective teacher, in my opinion, will put the student first before their curriculum timeline. I think it's vitally important for teachers to pay attention to the pace at which each student is learning. My classmates and I all learn differently, but we recognize when our teachers use a variety of methods to reach the same goal. And when this happens, we all feel we are learning at our maximum level.
Thank you again to my colleagues for their perspectives. If you have any questions about this standard or any other standard, please contact me. Thank you.